Well, now that I have these three handled, what do I do with them? Taking their stuff is a given. My three rattlings and Aranya are more than happy to relieve the trio of all that heavy stuff. My healing ants stabilize the three and the wolf, but don't do anything to wake them up just yet. I could just web them up by the entrance with signs reading free candy with a pile of sticks nearby. While I'm using, I don't think I should just let people beat them up. Even if I kinda want to. They're friend of Von. They deserve a good beating. Which they kinda already got. Still, I'm not letting them off that easily, but what else can I do with them? Then I get an idea. A wonderful idea. I get a wonderful, awful idea. Tal. Negotiations with the dwellers are going well. Elder Larks is sharp and shrewd, but doesn't have a malicious bone in his body. Well, maybe a maliciously compliant one or two. The elf mentally shrugs. Whatever the malevolence of the Ratkin's bones, he's a good negotiator. The boring process of a political power recognizing another exists is done rather quickly. The dwellers understand they're hardly a powerhouse, but being connected with the dungeon helps ensure that nobody would bother with the hassle of trying to subjugate them. Not the most flattering appraisal of their situation, but an accurate one, at least. The more interesting negotiations are for trade agreements. His guild is interested in information, first and foremost. And though the dwellers are reluctant to give much information on Thedium, they are willing to trade their maps of the deeper tunnels, and what they know of the threats. He's been authorized to offer coin for the knowledge, which Larks is happy to accept. The Ratkin understands they have a lot of goods to offer to delvers, and even ordinary people, but have little cash on hand to leverage further. They could just go delve, and some of the Ratkin like to do just that, but most don't want that kind of life. He's in the middle of suggesting they attempt to sell herbs or other ingredients to cobble bread just across the road, when he notices Teemo's ear twitch. Several emotions flicker across his face before settling into a look of growing confusion. Larks notices as well, but Tal speaks up first. Is something wrong, Teemo? The unassuming voice takes a few more moments to respond. It's complicated. A trio of delvers showed up and tried to egg Poe into a fight. He ignored them until they friend Devon. Tal groans at that. Can the Dungeoneers Guild negotiate for the bodies? Teemo smirks. There aren't any bodies. He lets the inspector's imagination run for a few moments with that statement before continuing. They're alive, and the boss is singing a weird song. That raises a few red flags for Tal. What kind of weird song? The look of confusion returns as Teemo answers. About over-the-top insults to an even more over-the-top bad guy? Tal relaxes slightly at that, though he's still not fully put at ease. What's he doing with the Delvers? Hey, boss? Boss! What are you doing with the Delvers? The confused look makes a comeback before understanding takes over, only to be crushed by the weight of an evil grin. Cool! Enjoy the song, boss! He looks back to Tal and straightens himself a little. Thedium has captured 3 Delvers that displeased him. He has claimed their equipment to do with as he sees fit, but that is simply what happens to those who challenge one of his scions, who does not wish to be challenged. For the crime of threatening a resident, they are to be jailed until such time as their guild pays an appropriate ransom, or they can pass a trial to earn their freedom, or until Thedium decides they have learned their lesson. So says Thedium, through his voice. Teemo looks pretty proud of himself for the declaration, and Larks looks interested and thoughtful about it. Tal fights to not sigh, and opens his mouth to reply. Then, as representative of the Dungeoneering's Guild, I thank Thedium for his mercy, and will be attempting to contact their guild so they may attempt to make the proper amends. The elf relaxes a little before continuing. So what's that actually mean? He asks with a small smirk, able to throw the rat's own words back at him. Teemo smiles wide. You remember the gauntlet we passed on the way here? Yes. The boss is attaching a gel to it, and it's making it a lot less fair. Elsewhere. The mycelia can feel something wriggling through the mat of its biomass. It is long, with jaws and legs, a foe and an ally to the fungus. The things have long helped break down what needs breaking down, but they also will sometimes eat the mushrooms or nutrient stores. It starts to increase spore production as the thing gets closer to the shard of purple, but something stops it. The fungus is a good protection from detection, but it is a cloak, not a shield, nor is it a sword. But the long things could help fill those roles. Cautiously, it lets the thing through, and is relieved to see the long insect will be helping the small light. A spark of understanding runs through both fungus and insect, the two knowing they will be rivals no longer. Tal. He watches in rapt attention as the gel is built and upgraded. It's rare to get to see something like this, and he quietly murmurs into his notestone as he watches. Rattlings and Aranya are bringing materials from the warehouse to facilitate room formation. Gel bars started as simple stone columns that bent out of the way for the snake's iron to levitate inside. Poor steel bars have been brought, and the formerly stone bars transmuted to the material, consuming it and likely energy as well. It must take less energy to upgrade if proper materials are provided. A small, separate chamber has been created for the wolf. Dungeon seems uncertain what to do with it. Other delvers have been stripped down to mundane clothing. Certain classes may be able to bypass the bars in various ways at the moment, but the voices indicated there will be magical and even alchemical precautions taken. He lowers the stone for a moment before looking to Timo. Does that mean Queen will be leaving the secret alchemy lab? I'd like to meet her, if only to be able to provide a description for the records. The voice nods. She's on her way. She says she wants to personally test a few things. She'll be a bit slower than Thing, though. He wants to get a look before actually enchanting anything, but Queen has a few ideas for what she wants to do already. He looks at the occupants of the cell before continuing. Do you know them? Tal shakes his head, after only a few moments. No, I think they're from one of the larger guilds to the south. I'll check with Khan to be sure, but I don't think he'd let any of his adventurers go delve with what seems to be such poor intelligence. Timo smirks. Yeah, they don't seem very smart. The elf just rolls his eyes. You know what I mean. They didn't bother going to the Dungeoneers Guild for the latest information, or they would have known to not have attempted something like this. Think anyone will raise a stink about this? Asks the rat, looking a bit wary about the idea. Tal just shakes his head. Nah, these three are fairly big fish for our small pond here in Fordock, but they're small fry back home. Probably wanted to prove they could handle themselves. Maybe that they didn't need to pay for information on a dungeon to be able to beat it. He shrugs before continuing. Whatever the case, their guild shouldn't raise a fuss. Most dungeons would have just killed them, so this is still better for the guild, even if they have to pay a ransom. Do you think Thedium's idea will work like he wants it to? Tal taps his foot as he thinks. I don't know. I don't know if I want it to work or not. In theory, delvers overcoming or failing to overcome traps should generate energy for the dungeon. I don't think any have tried tying a gel to a gauntlet of traps. He sighs in regards to the rat. I'd actually suggest making the gel in the gauntlet secret rooms, if Thedium can. I doubt most devils who earn their way inside will talk much about it, out of shame, but other dungeons might try using something like this as a water wheel, if they learn about it.